And I'm glad, and especially that Tony is here tonight. Tony is Josh's
That's
husband.
my husband. We got married in May.
So we're welcome to have him. Why do you, Josh, you go to Holy Family Episcopalian Church, and Jamie, you've been coming to Woven. Why would you want to go to church?
That's a good question. I think that's
Better than the last one.
this is a better one. I can answer that one better. Why would I want to go to church in general?
Yeah, why?
After all this.
Yeah.
After all this. I
Hopefully not this.
no,
Hopefully this
no. I'm talking about everything behind us.
All that.
Everything behind us now. I want to go to church because I know that I've been called by God to live in community with believers. I at the point that I was in my mid-20s, I wasn't going to church, and I wasn't okay with going to church, and I wasn't okay with going to church because of the terrible things that I was hearing about someone from people I didn't even know, people who didn't know me, and I didn't want to be involved. I really didn't. I don't. Why would anybody want to be involved in a place where they are not fully accepted or loved? It just doesn't make any sense to me. And actually, when I met my husband, that was like, thank you. Yeah, yes. So it'll be 5 years this February. I know that much. But I wasn't really going to church at that point, and I was actually probably still in a healing process. But he took me to Holy Family because that's where he worshipped, and I just fit right in. I didn't feel weird walking in. I felt immediately welcomed and accepted.
Question again?
Why do you go to church?
Why do I go to church? I remember a Bonhoeffer passage where he was saying that community is, it's not a given. And so that, and hearing that from a missionary friend of mine who was out and didn't really have a church body community to be fully a part of. And I remember hearing that going like, man, yeah, you're right. It is a gift. And it's a gift to find that and to have that. And there have been seasons in my life where that was not always possible. Having been, Air Force and crazy schedule stuff and then deployment environment, that type of stuff, it was a challenge to get plugged in or find a church or find one that I could be a part of. But I was so used to it not mattering whether they knew that it was like, well, if they're not accepting, like it doesn't really matter because it's when has it mattered? Because I was so used to kind of hiding and not being open. So I think this is and that too. It was like, well, the preacher's good and that, and I remember when I did come out, for me, I had found a church that I wanted to kind of get more involved in and made a call and several calls actually because I didn't hear back, but it was like, well, because I was like, if I did want to bring, a girl with me who was not my friend, like, would that be okay? Would we be able to serve? Would we be welcome in that community? And it was just kind of roundabout way of saying, well, no, not really, but you're welcome to come on Sundays. And so, it was kind of, that was just the norm. And so I think it was still something I wanted, though, and I still wanted that connection. I still wanted community, and I still wanted to worship, and I wanted a place to worship. And so it was something that, in spite of all those things, like, that was still my home. That was still the community that I felt a part of, and that grew me up in who I knew Christ to be, and wanted to be a part of that, but just wanted to be fully myself as part of that. And so this is the first church that I've come to where, and have felt, at home, and like, oh, I could get plugged in here, and I could kind of ever. So this is kind of new for me, and then you can just talk about it like this. So watch out.
The phrase, I'll be loud. The phrase, hate the sin, love the sinner. What comes up in you when you hear that?
Not nice feelings.
How come?
It seems like when somebody says that, they're putting some distance in between you. They're saying, I'm not really interested in knowing anything about you. I'm not really interested in. I'm not interested in being in a community with you. I'm putting a wall up. That's what I hear. It's a bit of a backhanded, not compliment, but a backhanded statement for sure.
I don't like that it's become synonymous with homosexuality in the church. If it was a blanket statement, I might be able to tolerate it a little bit more, but I think it's the whole thing's backwards. I don't think it's it comes from a Christ-centered place, a statement like that, and I wish it was more, because it's more the plank and the speck type of a comment, when it should be, like, love whoever and focus on your own sin. And you need to be worrying about that more than you need to be worrying about mine, and go from there.
And that's if you believe that you're sinning.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, again, I think it needs to come from central place instead of focusing on that out there and kind of self-righteously justifying who I am in light of who you are.
What is your prayer for the church in Fresno?
We could go all night.
A short prayer.
A short prayer.
As if you were going to eat soon.
Well, that's an easy one. That's thank you God for this food, amen.
No. You can make it as long as you want.
I will. I won't actually. But my prayer is that let me get some words here. Do you have a good answer? I don't. Oh, okay. Okay, so so me as a gay man, the bulk of my friends are all gay men. Just because, we all flock to people we're like. We find our friends, our tight-knit group of friends. Most of them are staunch atheists. And they are that way because of the way the church has treated them. Very terribly, in fact. And so my prayer for the church is that they would take more than 30 seconds to stop and think about what you're saying and think about what you're preaching before, because I think that God calls us all. He calls all of us to him, regardless of what we think. And when we treat people terribly, they don't want to be a part of our family. They don't want to be a part of God's family. That's my prayer, that we as a church could be, welcoming to everybody who comes.
I don't know. I was thinking about that question. I don't know that it's a prayer as much as it was just kind of like got this image of like the Church of Fresno and kind of how, like, what came to mind. I see such a heart for Jesus in the Church of Fresno, but I think it often gets. I think it's a lot like Peter in the sense that he is so zealous, but sometimes we don't understand the whole picture of what Jesus is doing and kind of what he's wanting to do. And it was and kind of saw the church like Peter when he's like grabbing the sword and like, no, let me, and he's just, let me get your ear and like, dude, like,
Let me chop your ear off.
like, what, like, can we just put it away? Like, and so we like, I don't need you to stand up for me. Like, I've got, like, this is actually part of the plan. What did I ask you to do? And it kind of comes back to what Michelle read at the beginning. It was like, no, dude, like, for real, like, I need you to just do what I asked you to do, and not, like, what was it? Okay, love the Lord your God and love your neighbor, but what about my enemy? Like, okay, and like, can we just get focused, just get centered, and like, I'm gonna walk with you, but I just need you to listen. I just need you to abide and be close to me, so that, like, so this doesn't happen again, like, because you're well-meaning and I know your heart, but it's causing problems, and I need you to just be patient and wait and listen, and so I don't know how that translates into prayer per se, but that was just kind of there's so much that is going to happen, and so much good is going to happen, and so much that is in Peter that God wants to use, and it's going to be good, but it just needs to, it's like, we're working on it. He's new. He's the new, like, we'll get there, like, just, baby steps. So, but I think we're all in that place, and we're all Peter, and we're all Israel, and we're all learning, and so if we can make it not an us versus them, when you use a phrase like that, it stems from a place of fear, and perfect love casts out fear. So it needs to be an us, and not an us versus them, or we and them, or us and them. So just this collective whole, and doing what we're doing is just talking and sharing.
Do we have questions from the audience? Yes? No? Okay.
Easy.
I'll take that. Sorry. I would like to thank both of you for the friendship that I have had with you, and for many years. And I am grateful for your patience with myself. And I am, listening to you, I'm grateful that my children will know people who are gay and are lesbian. And it won't be a question on how do you do this. My faith in God and the church is stronger by watching you two. And I am honored that you would come and share your stories with us. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
In addition, Josh and Jamie's families are here, parents are here, and siblings are here. And I thank you guys that you would come. And thank you for sharing your stories as well. And I look up to you and how you love and continue to love your children. And you are an example for